Everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I will be continuing with the series of the Amazon SQL interview questions, right, for senior BIE, BIEs, data engineers, senior data engineers, data scientist. If you have seen my other videos, I have already covered three parts of it, and today is going to be part four. And then one request I have is so I'm going to link a playlist link right of this series, so that if you want to see all the videos, right, you can just save that playlist in your YouTube, and that way it will be easy for you to follow along a different part. So I put a link on the playlist in the comment section. Also, before I start, I request all of you to please like my channel, like my videos, and subscribe to my channel, so that gives me a lot of encouragement to make this kind of videos. As well as if you want me to cover certain topics related to SQL or data warehouse or reporting, then please put it in the comments section, and then definitely I'll be more than happy to make videos on that. So let's get started with today's questions. Today's questions, if you see, right, it's more of a percentage based, like a growth. We have couple of questions where they want to see the sales growth from last year to this year, and then the percentage market share. So let's get started. So the first question is, so there are three tables: customer sales fact, which as the name says, it shows the customer ID, the product ID, right, and then the order date on which the customer ordered the item. So for example, t-shirt was ordered by customer 1 on 24th November 2021. That value of the t-shirt order was $54. The order ID is order 1, and then order month was November month. So customer sales fact is keeping this data for each product and what is the value of that product, right. And then customer territory is basically the customer's customer's territory, and then customer city. I don't think so we'll need this column today, we'll need this table today. I think we are just using product and customer sales fact. So product table, if you see, customer is keeping the name of the product, right, product SKU ID, product SKU name, and then product brand and market name, right, which market it is belonging to. So it's a simple join, right. So if you see customer sales fact, you have product SKU ID stored here. So the join will happen between these two tables, right. So so then let's get to the first question. So the question one says, return Arizona territories sales growth from 21 to 22, compare the growth between year 2021 and 2022. So what it is saying is, oh no, we are going to use, I think, customer territory table. Yeah, we are going to use customer territory table. So what they are saying is, if you see the territory, that's AZ, right, AZ is Arizona, right. So it's saying that for this territory we want to know the sales growth from 2021 to 2022, right. So if you see, the customer ID is here, and customer ID is in sales fact as well, right. So we'll have to join these two tables using customer ID, and then we need to put a filter on Arizona, and then we need to, based on the order date, right. So what are the products which are ordered in Arizona territory, right, where customer belongs to Arizona territory, and then what is the growth. So if you see here, there are two dates. If you see 2 years, one is 2021 and one is 2022. So for Arizona, what is the growth, right? I mean, so for example, in if you had let's say $100 worth of stuff ordered in 2021, in 2022 if you are ordering $140, then it's 40% growth, right. So for that, what we need to do is, since they asked 2021 and 2022, let's create the sales, let's get to the sales, right, first for both these years, and for that we'll use with clause, so with common table expression. And this is very important, right. I mean, if you see, if you have to write big queries, right, then definitely the common table expression is must. So if you have seen my part 3 video, I have explained about the common table expression, right. I have used their common table expression over there, and I'll make some other videos on what is exactly the common table expression, like we'll go detail into that for now. So when you use with and table name, you are basically creating kind of a temporary table within that query, right? I mean, so it's going to store this data of this query into this table, and we can reuse this table in the later on as you see in the later on queries, right? So if you see, let's start with the sales under 2021. So what we'll do is we'll get the year, right? So one other thing that is covered here is they are saying year, right? So if you see this order date, it's full date, correct? So how do you see, how do you just extract year, right? So there is a command here. So if you see, there is a command called extract year in Postgres. So if you see extract, if you, I think in SQL Server it's pretty straightforward. When you say year of order date, it will just get you a year, but here it's like extract year from order date from this table. So if you see, there are 2 years that is coming up. So year of order date and then territory ID, right? Because we want territory as Arizona, right? So we need to put a territory also, and sum of order value. So sum of order value, right? Sum is basically a kind of a aggregate function. So what it will do is, if you have multiple records, right, then it will basically sum up all those records, and then we need to join these two tables using customer ID like we saw. Since it is 2021 year, we need to put a filter on 2021, and then territory ID they said only for Arizona, right? And then once, since you use sum, which is a Windows aggregate function, you need to use group by, right? Whatever columns you are using here, so which is year of order date and territory ID, you have to group by. If you don't group by, it's going to give you the error. So if you see here, right, it's select distinct extract, order date must appear in the group by clause, right? So whatever you are here, you have to group by. So if you run this query, what it is telling you is 2021 year we selected the Arizona as a territory, and the sales for the 2021 was $140, right? Similarly, we can create a same table. So basically, if you have seen, I have just copied the query, and then I just put year as a 2022, because everything else remains same, right? We just want a sales for 2022 for Arizona. So if you see here, it's 168, right? So what is the how much did it increase? 140, and then in 2021 168 in 2022. So if you see in a percentage terms, the sales increased by 28%, $28, which is basically, if you see, $28 is nothing but 20% of the $140, right? So if you take 20% of 140, that's 28. So if you add that to 140, that becomes 168. So basically the growth was 20%, and that is what the answer they are looking for, right? So once you have so what we had is, we had two tables. Just to recap, one table is keeping the value of 2021 sales for Arizona, second is keeping the value of 2022 for Arizona, right? So and then we have to just take a difference. So then we can write a query where sales territory ID, so territory ID is same in both, so it doesn't matter which table you take, but I just took it from 2022 table, right? So what we need to do now is, we need to take the columns from this table that we created and this table that we created, and then use a join here, okay? So here if you see, its total sales 2022, which is 168, minus total sales 2021, which is 140, right? So basically it's 28 divided by total sales, that is 2021 is basically 140. So if you do this calculation, right, then you will arrive at a 20%, right? That's a percentage growth. That is what they are looking for, right? So if you see, from sales, both the tables, join it based on the territory ID, right? So when we run this query, we can't run this query standalone because it is using these two tables, right? So we need to run the entire query for the common table expression. Okay, so what you got is, sales growth is 20%. Okay, so that's your answer. Okay, so what we used here, we used with common table expression with clause, right, with city, and then we used year, we extracted year. If they said month, we could have extracted month, and then we looked at, since we want to see the growth, we looked at 2021 sales, we looked at 2022 sales, and then finally we compared the used this formula to come at the percentage growth, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next question. And again, before I move on to the next question, I'm going to create a playlist for all the Amazon SQL related questions. And so just you can save the playlist in your YouTube. That way, you can just look at each and every like video, one after the other. And then also please subscribe to my channel and please like my video, right? So let's move on to the second question. So in the second question, what it is telling, fetch the percentage share of each product name compared to its total market. Okay, so what it is telling you is fetch the percentage share of each product compared to its total market. So let's look at the product table, right? So if you see each of the product, there is a name, white shirts, blue jeans, right? And then it has a market, right? So US West. So if you see this, like we saw, it's t-shirt, you can join with SKU ID, join with the fact table, right? And then you will get a sales for each of the product SKU ID, right? And it has the value. Okay, so what it is telling basically is, if you see the markets, right, you have US West market and you have two products here, right? So t-shirt and jeans, correct? Or white shirts and blue jeans, correct? And then you have US Midwest, you have brown belts and diamond, you have US East dress rings, and you have US as bath towels, correct? So what it is telling is, if there is a sales of white shirts, right, which is $100, and let's say blue jeans is $40, then what is the market share of white shirts is basically, for the simple example, let's say total sales of the US West market is $100, for example, right? Just to explain you. Okay, we'll look at the data and then we can come at the query. So out of that, let's say white shirts has $60 of value, blue jeans has $40 of value. So what does that mean? That means is white shirts has 60% market share within the US West market, correct? So they are saying, so if you read the question, it is saying fetch the percentage share of each product name, right, compared to its total market, right? So what is the market share of this? 60%. What is the market share of this? Blue jeans is 40%, correct? So what we need to do is, we need to first get the sales. So we need to compare the sales of product and we need to compare the sales of market, correct? So similar to the year query that we had a growth of 2021 and 2022 growth, here we need to extract the sales value for the product name and extract the sales value for the overall market name, correct? Overall market. So if you see the product total sales, if you see product SKU name, product market name, right, we have to pull market also, right, because we will need this market name. Here if you see, we are just taking product sales, but we are putting market name because we have to group by market, right? Because each market, because market name, why we are taking, because here we have to join with the market name, right? When we do a final query of between two tables, we need a join, we need basically a joining column, right? So that's why we have to pull market name here. That's not going to impact product's name because we are going to group by product name and market name, right? So lower level is product name, so it will group by product name, correct? So and here round sum of order value to. So here what I am doing is, basically this is another good example, good learning, that if you see the data of this order table, right, if you see the data of the customer sales fact, the data is stored as like without decimal point, right, 54, 100, 150. Here what I am doing is, I am getting it in a 2 decimal point. Okay, the reason for that is because if you have the uneven percentage, right, then you need a 2 decimal points. So here what I am saying is, round it up to the 2 decimal points. Okay, so I am going to do dot into 2 decimal points. So the thing is, it will just round it. Round is a function which will round it to the normal rounding, right, and then 2 decimal points as product sales, and then we join this two table based on product SKU ID and then group by. So if you see the data of this, right, so what happens is, it is telling you the products sales. So bath towels has $168, blue jeans has $100, right? And if you see, if you observe, I got the 2 decimal points. So if the value was 168.67 or 78, right, it would have come like that. So that's I put it as a round 2. Okay, the next one is, we need to get the total sales of the market, right? So if you see here, it's a group by market because we have to get the sales at the market level only. If you put product here, it's going to, the query is going to remain same, right? Which we don't want. We want the sales of a market level. So only put market and then group by market, correct? So if you see here, US overall market is 168, US West is 194, US Midwest is 20 and US East is 150, right? So now what we want is the market share, right? So what we want is product sales divided by market sales, right? So product sales is here, right? So individual product sales and then compare it to the market sales, right? And then basically you have to take a percentage. So in order to take a percentage, we have to multiply by 100, right? Here also we have done the same thing in the first query. If you see, right, we have to multiply by 100, so we get a percentage, right? So if you run this query, so what you get, if you see, for US Midwest and US East, there is only one row. So if there is one row, there is only one product in the entire market, then obviously the percentage is 100%, right? Because there is only one product, there is nothing to compare, right? But if you look at the data and you look at US West region, you had blue jeans and you had white t-shirts, correct? So blue jeans is 51.55 percentage. That's why we took a round 2, right? Here also we did round and decimal 2. If I just did if I did not do round, what it will do is it will just give me 51 and 48. So then it's not correct, right? Because 51 plus 48 is basically 99, correct? So it will not give a complete 100%. That's why I did a decimal point. So what we can say is blue jeans has a 51.55% market share in the US West market and white t-shirts has a 48.45. So we can just compare this, right? So blue jeans sales we can compare. So if you see, if you run this query, right, so blue jeans is basically, so blue jeans is US West market, right? So 100, right? So if you see US West market here, US West market total sales is 194, that was coming up, right? So blue jeans is 100. So if you divide 100 by 194, that is around 51%. And if you divide 94 by 194, right, then it is around 48.55% and 51.55 is for blue jeans, right? So so basically, and this three markets has only one product, right? If you see, there is only one row. If US West also had, if US East also had another row, then then you will also see, you will not see 100%, you will also see the percentage division like you are seeing for the US West, right? So let me run this query again. So if you see the other three, since I had only one row, 100%, and US blue jeans is 51.55 and blue white t-shirt is 48.45, right? So so that is it for today. I hope you learnt something from this video, right? I mean, obviously it is little complex, right? I mean, last video we used common table expression. Here we used it like in both the queries, right? Because the query is little complex. It's asking you to compare the values of two different years, a market share of a particular product. So you need to get a summation, right? Because it's just not one row we are comparing. We have to first get a summation, right? Because there can be multiple rows, right? And we need to sum up the entire value, right, at a market level or at a product level, right? So that's why we need to write two different queries, store it in the temporary tables, like with common table expression, right? And then finally write a query to join both these two tables and then get to the final question, final answer of the question, right, they're asking. So I hope this is helping you guys a lot, and if that's the case, please subscribe to my channel and please like my video. I'll make another video, right? I mean, on Amazon SQL questions, or and I'll make more videos also on the data warehousing concept. I see that there is kind of a more demand for the data warehouse housing concepts like star schema, snowflake schema, right? So I'll try and make the make few videos on the concepts of those. For now, thank you all.